Welcome to the College Football Bros. I'm Ryan Newman.
I'm Michael Newman.
And I'm Trey Newman.
All right. It is QB rankings time, guys. All right, at that time of year, we kind of getting some QB battles, at least some of them a little bit more clear picture. So let's get right into it. We're going to start with the ACC. Michael was going to give his opinions on this. So he'll do his rankings. Trey and I are just going to trash him and tell him how stupid he is. So, Michael, get going here. Who you got at number 14?
Yes, I have Tony Muskett of Virginia. He is a transfer coming in from Monmouth. Had good numbers there, but not so incredible at the FCS level that you're just expecting him to do great in the Power 5, especially in an offense under Tony Elliott that I don't have a lot of confidence in. Jay Woolfolk is also in the battle, but has less experience, so I went with Muskett there. Number 13. We have Haynes King of Georgia Tech, and feel free to, you'll have your chance at the end.
Yeah,
Muskett a ton of thoughts, but
pretty
you can jump in
there
with any thoughts if you have them. But yeah, Haynes King, Georgia Tech. So of course, transferring in from Texas A&M, also in the battle is a couple of Zach Gibson, but no one is really proven. I just went with Haynes King. He's at least got the pedigree, of course, coming in as a big recruit to A&M, but his numbers there were bad, so
yeah,
I didn't see much reason to put him higher.
It's kind of interesting for King. Like, he won Texas A&M starting QB job. They're expected to be pretty good, and then just a quick fall. I mean, I know he might still win a QB job at another Power 5 school, but it's like, you got him 13 on your ACC QB list, and that's pretty rough.
It is.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I think you probably have him in a decent spot. It's just did not perform.
No. So we'll see there. Number 12 is Grant Wells of Virginia Tech. Again, another battle there. Kyron Drones from Baylor will definitely have a chance to start as well, but Wells is the incumbent. He was okay at Marshall before transferring to Virginia Tech, and then his first year...
with a good defense.
Yeah, exactly. His first year with the Hokies was pretty bad, understandably so, supporting cast and all of that. Threw too many picks, which has been a problem for his whole career. So that kind of keeps him from higher. Number 11, Emmett Moorhead of Boston College. Played a good amount last year after Phil Dracovic got hurt, and I would say had his ups and downs, had some good games and bad games, which if you have any ups behind that Boston College offensive line, the way they've been playing, then that gets you some credit. So that's why I have him 11th. There's at least some potential upside with him just because we haven't seen him a whole lot.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Getting into the top 10, and I think it, takes a pretty decent jump here.
You expect a lot from this guy, from this program.
Yes, Mitch Griffiths, Wake Forest's projected starting quarterback. He's in his 4th year with the program and really has hardly played except in relief last year against VMI. He's taken over, of course, now Sam Hartman transferring to Notre Dame. But, yeah, this is just Wake Forest quarterback. You kind of pencil them in to put up really good numbers because that's just what they've been doing under Dave Clawson and Warren Ruggiero. Yeah. So 10th kind of feels low, but I don't know. There's just guys who have more experience, a bit more proven ahead of him. So that's the reason.
It feels low for a Wake Forest quarterback, but when you kind of look at all the other people in front of him individually, it's like, well, who would you put him in front of? It's hard to do. So, he'll be higher when the season ends. Like, I don't think he would be 10th, but now it's like, but who are you going to choose? Who are you going to put him ahead of? It's tough.
Yeah, and this is the part where you start to, and this will be common theme amongst all the quarterback rankings, is like, how much do you weigh kind of like projecting?
Yeah.
Versus obviously, like you said, he has no experience, but like you would not be shocked if he put up, top 6 ACC numbers, but do you think he's going to do that? So it's kind of like, how do you personally decide? That's why I might have had him a hair higher, but there's
that makes sense.
It's legit right here.
Yeah, I'll get to that with it is hard, yeah, because I guess my goal is to project here, right? But then there is a part of it of, I don't know, it's just like I think he'll put up better numbers than some of the guys ahead of him, but some of the guys ahead of him, I think if they were in Wake Forest
Yeah,
offense,
exactly.
would also
Product of
put
the
up
system.
really good numbers. So it's a hard balance there, but you'll see when we get to some of these guys. So number 9, Jack Plummer of Louisville, another guy who I think might put up, if he does get the starting job, might put up better numbers than some of the players ahead of him, just because I love Jeff Brom, of course, coming in as head coach at Louisville. He knows how to coach quarterbacks. They always seem to have good passing games under him, whatever team he's at. So, but Jack
This was
Plummer.
one.
What do you say?
I was going to say this was one I was surprised that you didn't have, like, just because of your fondness of Brom. I was surprised you didn't have him higher compared to.
This is probably my first like real disagreement. I would have him a couple spots higher. I think Plummer's going to have a pretty good year.
I think he will too.
But like, if you didn't have the Brom factor, I don't know if I would though.
He put up pretty solid numbers at Cal last year.
I'm not saying he's bad
at Cal.
Yeah, they were decent numbers, which at Cal is pretty good the way their offense has been. So no, it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't great either. So I don't know. And we saw him at Purdue under Jeff Brom, of course. They're reuniting. If I might have mentioned that, but he didn't play it there, and it's not like his numbers were amazing, but anyway, that's why he kind of fell somewhere in the middle here. He's 9th.
Big Ten's tough too, though. Maybe there's Big Ten defenses are pretty tough. Maybe a Big 12 could put up even a little better numbers.
ACC.
Or sorry, ACC. My bad.
Thanks for paying attention. No. All right,
Louisville. They used to be in something. Big East, right?
Number 8. Really tough guy to rank. So I could see you guys having Jack Plummer and Mitch Griffiths ahead of him, but it's Phil Dracovic at Pitt. And I guess it's just I'm taking into account the fact that he was at Boston College the past few years, which I mentioned their offensive line struggles have been really bad, especially the last 2 years. So I gave him a break for that. I look at his numbers, and it's not like they were bad. They were decent, especially when you consider the supporting cast. So I think if you give him a good supporting cast, like he would be very good. He's talented quarterback. Is he going to have that at Pitt? I don't know. It's not like Keaton Slovis was great at Pitt last year. So again, his numbers might be worse than Plummer and Griffiths. So maybe I should have had him lower.
This one will be interesting because we'll learn how much of it was due to Boston College's ineptness, because he had a lot of hype going to BC from Notre Dame, and it just never came to fruition. So we're going to learn how much of it was BC, how much of it was maybe him, how much of it's maybe
injuries.
Pitt system
kind of got to him a little bit.
Yeah,
he's got to stay healthy.
I'm almost like all or nothing on him.
Okay, number 7, Garrett Schrader from Syracuse.
Yeah.
And he's always been a great runner, so he adds a ton of value there. And last year with Robert Anae as his head coach, or not his head coach, but his offensive coordinator, he took a huge step forward as a passer. 65% completions, 8.3 yards per pass attempt, 17 touchdowns, 7 picks. So if Anae were still coaching him, he's moved on to NC State, as we'll get to, then maybe I'd have him even a slot or two higher. But I guess I didn't just look at last year and say, okay, that's what he is now. He that was by far his best season. So I'm kind of maybe baking in a little bit of regression in the efficiency of his passing.
Yeah, he's hard to judge because I do some very good stuff, but he surprised me. Schrader surprised me. I did not think he could put up those types of passing numbers, but man, it was pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, all these guys are really hard to separate. We'll talk about it when we show the full list at the end. But number 6, Tyler Van Dyke from Miami. Very tough because he played great.
Which year do you want to count?
Yeah, exactly. 2021, he was great, of course, down the stretch when he played. And going into last season, we thought that he was like a top 10 quarterback in the country. Maybe some people even had him top 5. And it did not work out that way. He definitely underperformed. But I don't know. I think it's part of that blame should go to Josh Gaddis's offensive system. Just didn't work out. So they quickly moved on from him, brought in Shannon Dawson who did a solid job there. Great job with Clayton Tune at quarterback. So I think that'll be an upgrade. Hopefully Van Dyke being fully healthy this year. He's got the talent, he's got the potential, so that's why I have him up here. I'm expecting a bounce back season, but still, like, the receiving, is it up to par? I don't know.
Yeah, you could convince me you could put Van Dyke like 2 through like 8 or 9 maybe, and I'd be like, okay, I can understand where you put him
because
at,
he's
but
shown both. So
Yeah,
I agree.
Exactly. Yeah. And so has Garrett Schrader, and so has, as I'll get to this next guy,
yeah,
number 5,
Yeah.
Brennan Armstrong, NC State. Very tough one to rank up
Yeah,
like
that's
4
tough.
times in a row. But also he's not guaranteed to be the starter. He's MJ Morris was very, very promising last year, so they've got a good quarterback room depth. But yeah, I went with Armstrong, and 2021 he was one of the best quarterbacks in the country. Great through the air, adds a lot of value on the ground as well. And that was after a good 2020. So it was like, he's great. We know it. And then last year, horrendous numbers, but horrible supporting, terrible offensive line in front of them. Just
they lost
overall,
everybody. Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah. And so, and like I said, with the Tony Elliott's offense, that hasn't been working dating back to Clemson, the end of the Clemson days. So I think now him being reunited with Robert and there's so much, all these coaches and players are moving between. But yeah, reunited with Robert and I would expect him to bounce back. Maybe not quite back to the Virginia, 2021 day, but
I'm with you here. I saw a couple lists where they had Armstrong like 10th-ish, and
No,
I know I do not agree with that. I think this one, I'm not a huge Dave Doran guy, but I love Anai. Like, Doran does just enough, and I love Anai, and I just think that Armstrong. I personally agree with you, Michael. I think Armstrong's going to have a bounce back year. He's not going to. He's not going to look as bad as he did last year. He's just
no way.
not.
No way.
So
no way.
No. Yeah, it's like I say, like having him 10th or something. It's like we've seen him be great, so we know it's there. Like,
yeah.
All right. Well, now here is number 4, Cade Klubnik of Clemson. And so this is all on potential because he really hasn't proven much. He played well, very well actually, in the ACC title game last year, but that was against North Carolina, who had one of the worst defenses you're ever going to see in the Power 5. So maybe that's
a little strong, but it was pretty bad.
But it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. So I'm leaning on the fact that he is entering year 2 here. Of course, was a 5-star recruit. He's getting Garrett Riley as his new offensive coordinator, which I think is a massive upgrade coming in from TCU. So there's just a lot of signs pointing to a huge ceiling. So I couldn't put him like, you could argue 4th is too high.
Sure.
I don't know, because I felt like I'm hedging with him, but then again, it's like,
if you didn't have Garrett Riley coming in and they just kind of ran it back from last year, then this you could argue it's a stretch, but I don't think so. And just year 2, you get more comfortable. I think this is a fair spot.
They got talent. They got some players around him. I think it was just a system problem, really. Like,
yeah,
I think it'd be pretty good.
But for me, 4th though is before the season, his ceiling, meaning like obviously he could end up being 1 or 2 as it plays out or whatever, but before the season, I couldn't put him higher than 4th.
Oh, so I could have put him 3rd maybe, but not higher than that.
All right. Well, number 3, I have Riley Leonard of Duke. And Duke was, I think, the biggest surprise team in all of college football last year, and he was a huge reason why. He ran for 700 yards and 13 touchdowns, 5.6 yards per carry, so massive value on the ground. And he was reasonably efficient as a passer, 20 touchdowns, 6 picks. Duke has a ton of returning production. I know it's not about his supporting cast, but I just expected him to have another great season. So I don't know. I like if you're watching this and you're maybe a casual fan, you might think like, how is Cade Klubnik below Riley Leonard? And it's like, well, we've seen it on the field be really good from Riley Leonard.
I was so surprising to see Riley Leonard be so good last year. Considering Mike Elko, the defensive guy, was coming in as the head coach too, you wouldn't have expected kind of an offensive, quote unquote, explosion from Duke. So surprise.
Kevin Johns did a great job with that offense. Number 2 and number 1 were very easy for me.
Yeah.
You've got Jordan Travis, number 2, Florida State. He just gets better and better every year. Great dual threat quarterback. Number 1 in the ACC in QBR last season, and now another year in Norvell system. They brought in another great slew of transfers. Everyone's coming back. It's just he's going to have a monster year, I'm sure. Like
stays healthy, he's going to be really good.
Yeah, exactly. He's, I think, 6th or 7th or somewhere around there in the Heisman odds, which I think is justified.
Yep.
But number 1, Drake May, North Carolina. For me, it was an easy choice. I think he might be my number 2 quarterback in the country overall, only behind Caleb Williams. Last year, 66% completions, 4,300 yards, 8.4 yards per pass attempt, 38 touchdowns, 7 picks.
Yeah.
He also led North Carolina in rushing with almost 700 yards. And that was his first season as a starter. So there's the potential that he gets even better this year. He does lose Phil Longo as offensive coordinator. I think that's a big loss. So see what happens there. I think Chip Lindsey is replacing him. So that I would say is a downgrade. But I don't know.
Remember how it was like?
He's
It
amazing.
was like, oh
Great
my
man.
gosh, they lost Sam Howell. What are they going to do? And
Yeah.
they might have got
Upgrade.
better.
Yeah,
They kind of did. Towards the end of Sam Howell, they did, yeah.
Okay. Here's the full list. You guys chimed in with some of your thoughts there, but what are you thinking?
These QB rankings, they're so hard. They're so subjective. I mean, it depends on how you look at certain things. I mean, some fans watching are going to be upset that their quarterback's maybe too low, but
Who's going to be upset? Who's going to be the most upset? If
yeah,
you're
that's a
looking
good
at this
question. Who's
list?
going to be the most upset? Oh, man, that is a tough question. Trey, you coming up with anybody?
I would say, I mean, there's not a ton of Wake fans, but I just think they're going to say,
Yeah.
Oh, well, now
Look at our
now if
production.
any Wake
Ooh.
fans are watching, they're definitely going to be upset.
oh, that's true. No, but it might. Yeah, good point. No,
Sorry,
but
Kenny.
But yeah, no, I agree. I think Wake maybe.
Yeah.
I don't think the others you could get too heated over.
Yeah.
But I will say we haven't gone through every conference rankings, but we've kind of looked at a few, and to me, like this top kind of 7, and maybe a guy like Plummer and Griffiths rises up, like that top 7's is that will compete in terms of depth with about any conference. Like it's pretty good.
Their best, Armstrong at his best, Van Dyke at his best, Dracovic at his best. It's like,
Mhm.
But I mean, some of
We've
these other
seen goodness out of them,
conferences that like they don't have a ton of experience, or they're kind of coming into new situations. Like I really like the top half of this ACC list.
yeah, that's fair.
I agree. That's pretty solid. Yeah, pretty good depth all the way 10 deep, and
Yeah.
possibly 11. But
We'll see about Griffiths, but
Exactly. Yeah, sure.
okay. Any more thoughts or
yeah.
perfection other than what you've mentioned?
No, yeah, I think you did a pretty good job, Mike. Good job.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, let us know in the comments below your thoughts on the rankings. Anyone who's overrated, underrated. Thank you for watching this episode of the College Football Bros. Our next episode, we will have our Big 12 rankings. Which one of you did that?
I did, Ryan.
Ryan. Okay. You're on the chopping block next time.